On a spring morning, a 4-year-old boy went out for a walk with his family. It should have been a beautiful scene, but no one expected that the boy would vanish within just 40 seconds of leaving his parents' sight. Moments later, a mysterious phone call would make the case even more baffling. For more than 30 years, the boy seemed to have evaporated from the world. His parents handed out flyers, appeared on television, and never stopped searching. Yet every time hope flickered, it was quickly extinguished. The story takes place in Tokushima Prefecture, Japan. In the late 1980s, this quiet ancient region became associated with one of the 3 major kamikakushi, spirited away cases. Child disappearances so inexplicable that people believed the children had been hidden by spirits. On March 7, 1989, a Tuesday, 4-year-old Shinya Matsuoka woke up with his family at 8:15 a.m. He lived in Ibaraki Prefecture's city of Ushiku, with his parents, an older sister, and a younger brother. 2 days earlier, Shinya's grandmother had passed away. The family drove to Tokushima Prefecture's Komatsushima City to attend the funeral, a journey that took at least 9 hours by car. When the funeral ended, the family was unsure where to stay for the night. A relative offered to host them at his home in Sadamitsu town, only an hour away. So the 5 family members drove there and stayed overnight. The morning of March 7th was their second day staying with the relative. While Shinya's mother Keiko and the relative prepared breakfast in the kitchen, Shinya's father, Masanobu Matsuoka, took the 3 children outside for a walk along the mountain road. Masanobu worked as an engineer in a computer company and was usually too busy to spend time with the kids. He planned to use this rare opportunity to enjoy a morning stroll with them. After more than 10 minutes, estimating that breakfast was nearly ready, he brought the children back. A long stone staircase connected the mountain path to the house, and climbing it was difficult for toddlers. Masanobu picked up the 2-year-old brother, while Shinya, excited and energetic, insisted on climbing by himself. When they reached the house, Shinya told his father he wanted to climb the stairs again. Masanobu agreed, saying he would drop off the other 2 children inside and then return. He handed the younger boy to Keiko and immediately turned around, only to discover that Shinya was no longer there. Thinking the boy was overly excited and had run down the steps to play, he followed the path and called out his name. The relative's house sat at the end of a mountain road, and there was only one road leading downhill. Masanobu walked and shouted repeatedly, but there was no response and no sign of the child. Unease grew. He rushed back to get his wife and relatives to help search. They combed the surroundings but found nothing. At 10 a.m., they called the police. Keiko recalled that 6 months earlier, she had brought Shinya to Tokushima, and he had shown no fear of unfamiliar places. He liked picking up fallen acorns. Based on this, police first suspected that Shinya had wandered into the mountains and gotten lost. Over 100 police officers, firefighters, and volunteers searched the mountains, but found no trace. That night, temperatures dropped to 3.6 degrees Celsius, and likely colder in the mountains. If the boy were lost in the woods, his life would be in danger. The next day, more than 200 people conducted a grid search around the area, again with no results. In the following days, every police dog in Tokushima Prefecture was mobilized to search within 2 kilometers, yet nothing was found. Police released a missing person notice. Height, 110 centimeters. Weight, 19 kilograms left-handed, small scar above eyebrow. Able to clearly state his home phone number. Since he had disappeared within only 40 seconds, police began suspecting something more than a simple wandering off case. The location was remote, with little traffic, mostly local residents. No villagers had seen Shinya that morning. A farmer working 100 meters away reported no passing vehicles, and police found no signs of a traffic accident. After ruling out an accident, police considered kidnapping a possibility, They installed a recorder on the relative's telephone in case of a ransom call. A week passed with no progress. Realizing the search could take much longer than expected, the Matsukas planned to return to Ibaraki to send their daughter back to school. But that evening, they received a mysterious phone call at the relative's house. The caller sounded like a woman in her 30s or 40s with a Tokushima accent. She claimed her child, Mariko Nakahara, attended the same kindergarten as Shinya's sister. The kindergarten had heard about the disappearance and held a fundraising drive. She wanted to know where to deliver the donations and asked when the family would return home. Keiko thanked her and said they would return in 2 days. But something was strange. How would a kindergarten in Ibaraki know the number of a relative's house in Tokushima, where the family was only temporarily staying? 2 days later, the family returned home. The caller never contacted them again. When Keiko asked the kindergarten about the donation drive, teachers said they had never heard of the disappearance, had never held a fundraiser, and no child named Mariko Nakahara was enrolled there. Only then did Keiko realize something was wrong. Whoever made the call knew exactly where the family was staying. Some speculated the caller was involved in the kidnapping, checking whether the parents had left Tokushima before making their next move. Police reconsidered. The family had arrived very late the night before, and most villagers only learned of their presence after police inquiries the next day. If the caller was involved, she must have known the family arrived the previous night, which suggested she lived nearby and understood the relative's household well. Police re-interviewed villagers, but found nothing. The recorded phone call became another unsolved puzzle. Technology at the time could preserve voice recordings, but not caller ID. Voice print matching was possible only with known suspects. Without them, there was nothing to compare. Police continued searching. Over 3 months, 1,400 personnel were deployed. No clues were ever found, and the investigation was eventually suspended. Shinya's disappearance completely changed the family's life. To remain reachable, they rarely left home. Keiko said, "I feel like I shouldn't enjoy myself when he isn't here." After the search was suspended, Masanobu resigned from his job to search for his son full-time. With television regularly airing programs about missing persons, Shinya's case drew national attention. Masanobu appeared in more than 50 broadcasts, publicly shared their home number, and handed out flyers across the country. Over the next decade, many potential sightings were reported. 1 year after the incident, someone claimed to have seen a boy identical to Shinya in a shop in Yonezawa City, Yamagata Prefecture. Masanobu traveled there and distributed flyers, but found nothing. Another person reported seeing an odd family with age-mismatched parents and a boy around 5 or 6 at Tigaryuji Temple in Tokushima. Keiko searched the temple, but no one ever saw them again. 8 years later, a female office worker claimed she saw a boy resembling Shinya on the Yokohama subway. His clothing was shabby, and his bandaged wrist revealed a wound beneath. He seemed unhappy. She expressed concern. The boy told her he was mistreated by an older man. She gave him her phone number and urged him to call if he needed help. He phoned once, then disappeared. There was even a report from China. 9 years after the incident, a clerk at a video rental store said she saw a boy who looked like Shinya, accompanied by a suspicious man. The boy held a Titanic postcard and, after confirming something with the man, bought a poster. When the staff chased after them, they were already gone. Most leads ended in disappointment, but one sighting from a family acquaintance is considered the most credible. About a month after the disappearance, in Hiwasa Town, Tokushima Prefecture, he saw a suspicious man holding a boy who looked like Shinya, facing the sea. When the acquaintance tried to get a closer look, the man hid the boy's face and quickly left in a white car. This led to one of the most widely discussed theories: abduction by North Korea. In the 1980s, North Korea abducted Japanese citizens, so their agents could learn native Japanese language and culture. Hiwasa's coastal area was considered a possible landing point for North Korean boats. Many speculated that Shinya had been taken to North Korea. But North Korea denied involvement, arguing that a 4-year-old who could not yet speak fluent Japanese would be of no use. 25 years after the incident, Japan and North Korea agreed to establish a special investigation committee to examine abduction cases. But only 2 years later, North Korea abruptly dissolved the committee and ended all investigations. Hearing this, Masanobu said, "I doubt they ever investigated at all. I hope the Japanese government doesn't waver and continues to search for the missing." As time passed, sightings dwindled, but the Matsuokas never gave up. Masanobu even appeared on the TV show The Power of Television, which covered unsolved cases and missing persons. The show featured a psychic investigation segment. An American FBI psychic investigator, Joseph McMoneagle, claimed through psychic vision that Shinya was not taken to North Korea, but was alive somewhere in western Japan, possibly near Kobe Port. There was no evidence, of course, and Japanese media later noted the FBI has no such thing as a psychic investigator, suggesting the show included theatrical elements. 27 years after the disappearance, well-known Japanese clairvoyant Yoshiko Shimo published a book titled Your Flowing Destiny, which predicted notable cases being solved in February 2018. Some readers believed her reference to young children running off or being taken indicated the Matsuoka case might be solved that year. Then, on January 31st, 2018, the TBS program Emergency Large-Scale Public Search Special aired a new episode. A man named Ryuto Wada, around 25 years old, had lost his memory and was searching for his family. 4 years earlier, he had collapsed in the restroom of a shopping mall in Yatomi City, Aichi Prefecture. He weighed less than 50 kilograms, was dehydrated, and seemed extremely weak. With no ID on him, police could not confirm who he was. After regaining consciousness, he wrote his name, Ryuto Wada. His memory consisted only of fragments. He recalled that at age 4, while riding in a car with his parents, he fell asleep and woke up in a strange man's house. The man was 50 to 60 years old, 1.8 meters tall, heavily built, and seemed to spend all day at home. He often stared at stock market charts, suggesting he was a day trader. Ryuto lived with the man for 17 years and rarely went outside. He remembered only about 10 dental appointments when he was around 15. Otherwise, he taught himself language and daily knowledge by secretly watching TV when the man was away. At age 20, one night when the man was asleep, Ryuto saw a news report on TV that made him realize his life was not normal. He began searching for an escape opportunity. 2 years later, he managed to run away. He recalled seeing signs marking the Aichi-Shizuoka border on Route 42, seeing Toyohashi's trams, and a monument for the Battle of Okehazama, allowing investigators to roughly outline his escape route. He eventually reached Yatomi City, where he collapsed. Because he had no memory of the events after escaping and no documents, he could not rent an apartment. He was living in an Aichi Prefecture self-support facility for people facing hardship. After the show aired, the internet exploded. Many viewers pointed out that Ryuto looked extremely similar to Shinya Matsuoka. The eyes, the nose, even a scar above the eyebrow. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed the letters S61 written at the top of the paper where he wrote his name, interpreted as Showa 61, 1986. Shinya was born in 1985, close enough to fuel speculation. A dental assistant also wrote on social media that years earlier, she saw a suspicious older man bringing a boy, who resembled Shinya, to her clinic for about a year. Because the boy had no health insurance, she alerted the police. But her report was apparently lost among many similar tips. As the buzz grew, police planned to collect DNA samples from Shinya's parents. But then a new twist emerged. Ryuto was possibly another missing man. Nao Kitazawa, a convenience store owner in Yokkaichi, said Kitazawa had worked at his shop and looked exactly like Ryuto. Investigators and internet users connected the dots. An AKB48 fan who once appeared on TV also looked identical. An article in Asahi Shimbun mentioned a Nao Kitazawa from Mie Prefecture who spent 530,000 yen supporting idols. A self-proclaimed classmate even posted Kitazawa's middle school photos, virtually identical to Ryuto. This sparked a wild theory that Shinya Matsuoka, Ryuto Wada, and Nao Kitazawa were all the same person. Some argued that if Ryuto Kitazawa had indeed attended school, this contradicted his claims of being locked indoors and suggested mistaken or distorted memories. However, the truth was simpler. 4 days later, Masanobu publicly announced DNA results. Ryuto Wada was not his son. He said he wasn't surprised. He felt it instinctively as a father. Soon after, a man from Yokkaichi claimed to be Kitazawa's father. DNA tests confirmed he was indeed Ryuto's parent. Thus, Ryuto Wada's true identity was Nao Kitazawa, not Shinya. Kitazawa's father explained that his son had suffered memory loss once before in 2013, but recovered. Then, in 2014, at 28 years old, he disappeared from his apartment in Kawago Town after losing his memory again. He had been missing ever since. Kitazawa was born in 1986, consistent with S61. Even after his identity was confirmed, some viewers accused the show of staging the entire thing for ratings. But this allegation was never proven. Regardless, Ryuto/Nao finally returned to his family. Shinya, however, remained missing. 23 years after the disappearance, Keiko Matsuoka began working as a nursery assistant and farming. She had avoided childcare work for many years because seeing children Shinya's age filled her with sadness. Eventually, she chose to face her emotions, and farming helped distract her. She knew Shinya loved digging up potatoes, so every autumn she planted them so he could dig them up when he comes home. Despite finding no solid leads, Keiko always smiled and said, "I want to stay healthy. When he comes home, I want to be able to say, 'Welcome home.'" Sadly, more than 30 years after the disappearance, Keiko passed away without ever seeing her son again. Many theories still circulate. Some suggested he was carried off by a large bird of prey, like Japan's golden eagle, which has a wingspan over 2 meters. But no one heard screams or saw such a bird that morning, making the theory unlikely. Others questioned whether 40 seconds was enough time to abduct a child. But a study from the University of Washington showed that abducting a child takes less time than people think, often under 30 seconds. Similar scenarios have appeared in the TV series Criminal Minds. To this day, the fate of Shinya Matsuoka remains a mystery. If he is alive, he would now be about 40 years old. His father, Masanobu, continues to search for him. Perhaps one day, decades of persistence will be rewarded, and he will finally be able to say, on behalf of his late wife, "Welcome home."